Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. Today, I would like to resume the second unit of lesson number 3, the passing away of Bapu. I have already taught you lesson number 3, unit 1, and I have given you some assignment copies, and I hope that you have gone through the text and completed all the assignments. And now today, before going to unit 2, I would like to make a review of the first unit which I have taught you earlier. From the first unit, you have come to know that Gandhiji had been shot when he was on the way to a prayer meeting, and then his dead body was kept in the Birla house, and the author was called to that place by an urgent telephone. And now we would like to discuss what happened there actually. The writer, the author, reached there, and we have discussed the atmosphere, the silent atmosphere, the sad feelings of the people, the relatives, the followers, the disciples of Gandhiji who were present there. They became highly shocked. They couldn't speak anything as they lost their dear leader, Bapu, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. And now, today, we would like to start unit number 2. So, I request all of you to keep your textbook before you, page number 18. Now, I am going to read the text first, okay? Gandhiji's funeral was to take place the day after his death. Hours in advance, people lined the route. The funeral procession was to follow. Padasi, Mrs. Naidu's daughter, spoke for us all when she said simply, "We will walk. It is the last time we shall be walking with Bapu." This is the first paragraph of Unit 2. I have just finished reading this paragraph. Now I would like to explain what the subject has been explained through this paragraph. Gandhiji's funeral was to take place the day after his death. I request you to remember the date on which Gandhiji was shot dead. Perhaps all of you can remember. It was 30th January 1948. On that day, Gandhiji was shot. That means Gandhiji died. And here you read, Gandhiji's funeral was to take place the day after his death. First of all, I would like to give you the meaning of the word funeral. Funeral means, do you know? Funeral means a ceremony for burying or burning a dead body according to rituals, customs. As per Hindu rituals, or according to Hindu rituals, the dead bodies are burnt and the ashes, that are received after burning the body are immersed into the river's water, right? On the other hand, according to Islamic rituals, the dead bodies are buried. The dead bodies are buried. So here, Gandhiji's funeral, that means the dead body of Gandhiji is to be burned, right? And that incident was scheduled to happen on the day after Gandhiji's death. That means you have to remember, when did Gandhiji die? When was Gandhiji shot? It was 30th January. That means the funeral activity was scheduled to take place on 31st January 1948. This is very important because, my dear students, once again, I would like to remind you of this point because short question, MCQ type question, whatever it is, it may be made on the basis of this point. So please keep this point in your mind very carefully, okay? As for example, a short question: when was the funeral of Gandhiji organized? When did the funeral of Gandhiji take place? So what will you say? You must say the funeral of Gandhiji would take place. The funeral of Gandhiji was scheduled to take place the day after his death. Hours in advance, people lined the route the funeral procession was to follow. So people were too much shocked as they lost Gandhiji forever. And when they came to know that the funeral procession would come, then the people became highly curious. The people became highly interested in watching that funeral procession. That's why they started gathering beside the road, along which Gandhiji's funeral procession would come, because they did not want to miss that last chance for watching Gandhiji. That's why people just stood beside the way, beside the road, along which the funeral procession of Gandhiji would go. Padhasi, Mrs. Naidu's daughter, spoke for us all when she said simply, "We will walk. It is the last time when we shall be walking with Bapu." Yes. We receive another character here, Padhasi, although there is no introduction to this character. Padhasi, Mrs. Naidu's daughter, that's all. She spoke for us, the writer says. She announced that, very simply, that they would walk. They would walk with others in the funeral procession, because it was the last time when they would be walking with Bapu. The writer says that they would get no such opportunity to be or to move or to walk with Bapu. That's why they decided to walk in the funeral procession, right? And next page, it was an agonizing walk. Yes, walking with Bapu today is not like that happened on other day when Gandhiji was alive. The writer says that walking in the funeral procession is very painful today. Why? Because today's walking is very painful. Today's walking is very painful because this walking is a funeral procession. This is a funeral procession of Gandhiji. Today the writer and her companions are going to walk with Gandhi's dead body. And before today, many times the writer and her companions walked with Gandhiji. But then Gandhiji was alive. Gandhiji was their great leader. Gandhiji led them. But today, Gandhiji is lying dead. He will not move. He will not walk. That's why the minds of people, even the writer also, are heavy, are sad. That's why the writer says that walking, it was an agonizing walk. It was an agonizing walk. Agonizing, meaning, do you know? Agonizing means painful. Agonizing means painful. Agonizing means something that causes a severe pain. That's agonizing. Thousands silently watched the procession, and people who were standing beside the road, who were not moving, who were not walking, who were just standing beside the road, they were absolutely mute. They were absolutely silent. They silently watched the procession. When Gandhiji's dead body was carried by an open truck covered with flowers, Bapu lay on an open truck covered with flowers. Thousands of people wept, trying to touch Bapu's feet. It was impossible to move in the thick crowd. Yes. Many people gathered there. Many people gathered there in order to watch the procession of Gandhiji's funeral. Right? So, the writer says that it was absolutely difficult to walk, to move forward in that huge gathering. And people who were there were crying bitterly. And those who were behind the gathering were trying to feed the feet of, were trying to touch the feet of Gandhiji for the last time. They wanted to take some blessings by touching the feet of Gandhiji for the last time. Because they knew, they believed that they would never get such an opportunity to touch the feet of Gandhiji. That's why people were trying desperately to touch the feet of Gandhiji. And they believed that they would be able to get some blessings if they could touch the holy feet of Gandhiji. And here we see an important point on the basis of which a question may be asked. So please listen to me very carefully. How was Gandhiji's body carried? How was Gandhiji's body was carried? You must say Gandhiji's body was carried by an open truck covered with flowers. What was the reaction of people watching Gandhiji's dead body? We see that people were crying bitterly, and some of them tried to touch the feet of Gandhiji. And the writer says that the crowd was so dense that it was absolutely difficult to move forward, to walk forward, right? Now next paragraph. As I moved forward slowly, I understood I was not merely in the midst of grieving people. This was even more than the funeral procession of India's beloved leader. I was among people for whom walking with Bapu had a special meaning. We had walked with Bapu over the rough and smooth of India's recent history. We could not now accept the fact that the man who had led us over many difficult paths was never going to walk with us again. To walk is to make slow progress. It is to think with clarity and closely. Look at all that is around you, from small insects to the horizon in the distance. Moreover, to walk was often the only way open to the average Indian. It required no vehicle except his own body and cost him nothing but his energy. Gandhiji took his necessity as he took much that was commonplace and transformed it into a joyful effort. Yes. Now, as I moved forward slowly, I understood. The writer says, when she was moving forward in the procession with others, she could realize, she could understand that she was not merely in the midst of grieving people. Yes, the writer wants to say something more. If you think that it was simply a funeral procession, you would be wrong. It was not only a funeral procession, it became something more than that. It became something more than a funeral procession. The writer says, I was not merely in the midst of grieving people. Grieving people, do you know? Grieving people, grieving means sad. Grieving means sad people, shocked people. Those people who were feeling very sad, losing Gandhiji forever. And the writer says this was even more than the funeral procession of India's beloved leader. Yes, Gandhiji. I have already told you many times during this text that Gandhiji was India's beloved leader. That means people treated him as their beloved, as their popular, as their favorite leader, right? So this was even more than the funeral procession of India's beloved leader. I was among people for whom walking with Bapu had a special meaning. Yes. The people who joined the procession, who were present in the procession, they believed that walking with Bapu today conveyed a special meaning. Why? Today's walking is absolutely different from that of other days, because today is a funeral procession. Today is the last chance for walking with Bapu. Nobody could get any chance, any opportunity in future to move to walking with Bapu. That's why today's walking carries a special meaning. Today's walking conveys a special meaning to all the people who were present in the funeral procession. We had walked with Bapu over the rough and smooth of India's recent history. I've already given you the information that the text points out the British period, points out India when it was under British period. And we know during that British period, just before India's freedom, if you look at the pages of history, you will come to know that ups and downs took place. Many ups and downs took place in the history of India before we get freedom from the British. Ups and downs means some good things, some bad things. So Gandhiji led people, Gandhiji led his followers, disciples, and organized walking, even for good things and for bad things. As for example, I can say, when some injustice happened, when some wrong happened, Gandhiji made a strong protest, peacefully, non-violently. And in order to show that protest, he often organized walking. And to give a strong support to that protest, his followers, his disciples joined him, right? So the writer says that we walked with Bapu over the rough and smooth of India's recent history. Recent history means the historical period just before 1947. And we could now accept the fact that man who had led us over many difficult paths. Yes, I have already told you that Gandhiji led people over many difficult paths. Led people over many difficult paths, was never going to walk with us again. The writer believes that in future, the people of India would miss such a leader, even when any difficult time comes to them. So that's very sad. That's very sad. Bapu's slight figure had walked staff in hand. Here you can visualize an image of Bapu. The figure of Bapu was very slight, thin, right? And he had a stick in his hand always. Staff. Staff means, what is the meaning of staff? Staff means a walking stick. So Bapu's slight figure had walked staff in hand over a large part of India. When Bapu would walk over a large part of India, he would carry a stick. That means he had a stick in his hand. To walk is to make slow progress. Walk is very significant. What is the significance of walk? According to the writer, Nayantara Sehgal, walking means making slow progress. Yes. You know that walking means moving forward in a very slow speed, right? When you walk, what would happen? You would cover a distance very slowly, very slowly. So the writer says walking means making very slow progress. It is to think with clarity and closely, to look at all that is around you. Yes, as you move, as you walk, your speed is very low, your speed is very slow. That's why you would get the chance to look around you minutely, from a small insect to that horizon in the distance, right? Moreover, to walk was often the only way open to the average Indian. Yes. During that period, if we look at the economic condition of the people, the socio-economic infrastructure of our country, we see that there was no such good and modern transportation as it is available now. And whatever it was not meant for all people. That's why most of the common people, ordinary people, had to walk, had to move on their feet, right? For going to a place from another place, right? That's why the writer says that, moreover, to walk was often the only way open. Yes, one and only way that was always open before the Indians, common Indians, for going from one place to another was their foot. They had to move on foot, right? So, moreover, to walk was often the only way open to the average Indian. It required no vehicle except his own body and cost him nothing but his energy. Yes, the writer here discusses some good aspects of walking. If you walk, you need no fuel, you need only your body, your physical energy, right? You need no vehicle. So it required no vehicle like bus, train, tram, taxi, as you see, right? So you need no vehicle except your own body. Here, your own physical body is just like a vehicle, right? And your physical energy is the fuel here. If you have physical energy, you will walk very smoothly, and naturally it costs nothing. These are good aspects of walking, right? So it required no vehicle except his own body and cost him nothing but his energy. Gandhiji took this necessity as he took much that was commonplace and transformed it into a joyful effort. Yes, Gandhiji always led his life very simply, ordinarily, and walking is an inseparable part, a mentionable part, a noticeable part of his simple and common life. And Gandhiji, as he took much that was commonplace, not only walking, like walking, he took so many common things in his life and he transformed those common things, those ordinary things, into joyful efforts. That means Gandhiji, the writer would like to say here, Gandhiji enjoyed walking. Gandhiji enjoyed walking. Walking was a source of enjoyment. Walking was a source of pleasure to Gandhiji, and not only Gandhiji, but also to those people who followed Gandhiji. For those people who followed Gandhiji, for those people who were Gandhiji's fans, for those people who were Gandhiji's disciples, followers, Gandhiji even made them enjoy walking, right? Now that's all described in the second unit, and I hope that you would get much help from today's discussion, and I would like to request you to go through the text again and again at home, and next time I will meet you once again, and some assignment copies on the basis of this unit would be available into my Facebook page. You would follow me and be fine. Stay home, stay safe. Okay, goodbye. Meet you next time.